There's a funky side guitar music. Just depends on every Monday through Friday live at 5 and Evil Network Rumble X YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire on Rumble. Roy Bleckert, you'll see my nice, smiling, shining face. Of course, we'll join the mighty Met KMT as we usually do at the bottom of the hour. Susan Shelley, we usually have on Wednesday. She will be in tomorrow on Thursday to update you on her thoughts and columns and everything else going on in California, the world, and the Inland Empire. Of that, lots of stuff going on. Newsom's threatening racist because Oz and Bill are actually investigating the fraud in California. On top of that, CBS Sacramento just came out with a report. Newsom just says F you to the audits and does what he wants. So does the California legislature. They don't give a crap because they're taking a gun, pointing at you, taking the money out of your wallet and stuffing it in theirs and their friends and everybody else while you have too much month at the end of the money. Bottom line, Team Trump hits a big raid in Georgia at the election officials for the 220 steal of the stolen election, and that's what it was. On top of that, everything else goofy going on in the world. Alex Pretti, the man who is now at room temperature in Minnesota, video shows him kicking and assaulting an ICE vehicle and interfering not only a few days ago, but a long time. Mr. Purer than the wind-driven snow, Alex Pretti. Maybe he wasn't as pretty as the screwball media is trying to portray him as. But the big story of the day, as we have on IE Newswire, caught the attention of most. Second shocking California poll has Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton number 1, 2 in the governor's race, and the 7 dwarfs all under that. I didn't able to get it in graphics, but I've averaged the last 6 polls that have been taken in California. And they average out Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton are finishing 1, 2. In the average, if you want to do it like real clear politics and average out the way you take the ones that are doing this. And the last 2 polls were first one by was a Katie Porter internal. This was another one done by a Democratic pollster. So it seems to be very clear the Roy plan, as I've dubbed it, is working. And I'm not that I invented the strategy. The Democrats invented this or came up with it with the top 2 deal. SD4 2022 Assembly District or Senate District 4. They took a plus 20 Republican seat, did this exact same thing. Split the 40% of the Republican or Democratic vote 2020, held the rest of the 7 dwarfs under 20%. Voila, you had Alvarado Gil elected as a Democrat in November because they won it in June. That is the theme. Win this in June. Gotta give big props. Appreciate David Serpa, who was a Republican running for governor of that. He just announced that he's dropping out of the race. He doesn't want to split the vote and jeopardize the opportunity we have now. So I've always known David Serpa to be a stand-up guy, and he's standing up and doing the right thing again. By not, and this could be critical votes because they're going to try everything. LA County, Alameda County. If this thing is close and they can fraud it, they'll put psycho chick Katie Porter in there. No freaking doubt. So we got to be very, very, very careful of doing this. But the strategy is working, and I don't care how the 7 dwarfs finish as long as they finish 3rd and below. And then let Steve and Chad fight it out. And I got friends on both sides of this issue, and I don't have a problem with either one of them. I don't have a problem if Chad gets elected. I don't have a problem if Steve gets elected. There's- No matter what their flaws are in each one, we all human. We're not perfect. Nobody's name is Jesus Christ. We're not the second coming of God's child or whatever. But I will tell you this, Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco are going to be light years. We're going to be light years ahead if either one of them is. And then we really need to concentrate on picking up the 7 seats we need in the Assembly and 4 in the Senate. 7 and 4 in the California Senate, just to knock down the supermajority. Because right now, even Gavin Newsom, they can leave 6 votes on the table. The Democrats in the Assembly, they can leave 3 votes on the table in the Senate out of 40 and 80. And they can override a veto. So, on top of the top 2 strategy, if that comes about in June and we're over that, then we really got to concentrate. Really got to concentrate on the Senate seats and the Assembly seats. And Inland Empire's got 3 that are going to be critical. We got to defend Alicia Castillo in Assembly District 58 because Clarissa the Drunk Cervantes and team that is coming after her. They're pissed because they lost in that, and that's upsetting their plans, and that's a story for a different day. 47, Greg Wallace, that's always been a very close, been a few votes out of a couple 100,000, and he's won it both times, but they're going to come after him again. And then the critical one, my district, 61, where we're broadcasting from in Moval, California. Corey, the odious, canine hating, racist Corey Jackson. Ed Delgado, our Moreno Valley City Councilman, retired assistant sheriff, is running against him. That is one of the 7 that we have to pick up in the Assembly to make this whole deal work. We shall see if we got guts enough to pull this off. I'm optimistic. I'm more optimistic in 26 than I have been in a long time in California elections. That means decades. Got to give props. Finally. I mean, we love the great Ashley Zavala KCRA3 in Sacramento. She's the only one up there, or has been, the one that's been doggedly keeping track of what's been going on, the scoundrels of Sacramento. Julie Watts, I get to see this, CBS News came up and they had this stunning report we'll get into in a minute. We'll have the video of it. But California lawmakers ignore most state audit warnings costing billions. She goes, more than a decade. The state auditor has been issuing warnings of government waste, fraud, and abuse, cost overruns, broken oversight systems. You name it, they've said it. Up to 3/4 of the times, California Legislature, Assembly, Senate, Gavin Newsom, B.S. Rob Bonta, Shirley Weber, the Secretary of State, the cockroach or whatever the lieutenant governor's name is, the odious Tony Thurmond, and vote for Sonia Shaw for state superintendent. That's another of state superintendent of schools. That's another extremely critical one, and one I think we can possibly got a shot at winning statewide. To all these yokels and Cal Fart Lara, the insurance commissioner, and if I have to explain why that job is L critical, we're in trouble anyway. But as we say, we'll get into this and more as we progress on today's show. And man, what a wild ride 2026 is turning into be. 1000% it's a wild ride. The fraud, Gavin Newsom in the California legislature, Rivas, Corey Jackson, just thumbing your nose. The state auditor's been screaming, putting statistics, saying this audit, you're 30, 20, 30, up to $55 billion in unemployment fraud. Just to name a few and all this stuff. And they said, you ought to look at this stuff. CBS Sacramento and Julie Watts. And I hope join in with Ashley Zavala, KCRA3, who's been doing some great work for many years up there, but she's been basically the only one doing any sort of investigative reporting on what's been going on up there. So I applaud CBS Sacramento for getting on this. Here's some of the video here, hopefully.
Well, then my question to you is, are you okay with the audit then?
The California state auditor is supposed to be the state's early warning system.
Is it safe for folks to drink?
It's within the state guidelines.
When government programs fail,
Is the cost worth it?
when money is wasted,
California spent $24 billion to tackle homelessness.
when fraud goes unchecked.
That's according to a state audit just out.
Lawmakers request an audit.
News reports indicated
The state auditor investigates and tells agencies and lawmakers what needs to change.
the answer I received is this is as good as we can do.
But it turns out lawmakers in this building have failed to act on most of those recommendations that you paid for. We're talking government waste, fraud, public safety concerns that were allowed to continue for years after the auditor identified solutions.
Let's stop there. We're allowed to continue. Totally allowed to continue after the state auditor. The state auditor said, hey, this isn't just tiddlywinks. This ain't a couple of pennies out of a dollar. Hell, you're taking the dollar and adding it on. You're actually going out and borrowing money. We borrowed $30 billion from the federal government on unemployment fraud. We haven't paid back a dime of it. And who knows how much they looted out of our treasury. And they act like this is no problem. Or move along, nothing's going on here. It's absolutely stunning. Here's more from Julie Watt's report from CBS Sacramento.
Concerns that were allowed to continue for years after the auditor identified solutions. CBS News California analyzed a decade of state audits, and we found your lawmakers failed to act on 3 out of 4 recommendations. So year after year, the auditor tracks the same problems, same inaction, costing California billions. For instance, remember this?
Continuing to pay unemployment insurance benefits within
3 weeks, within 21 days.
If it's 3 weeks, then why haven't I been paid yet?
It's estimated California lost $20 billion to pandemic unemployment fraud.
That's the low number. The lowest possible number you can get. 55 billion in unemployment during COVID. They say it's just lost. They don't know what happened to it. It's like the 24 billion in one program for the vagrants. Well, we just lost it. We don't know. That's what they don't say that there's anything going wrong. Now the big number is, we don't know. You go find out. Well, you're the one in charge. It's so unbelievable.
Money California paid to criminals, while out of work Californians struggle to survive.
Called 40 times, 632 times.
632 times people who were legitimately thrown out of work, American citizens, not in jail, not in Russia, not in China, not in Ecuador. American citizens who were thrown out of work, their lives turned upside down over COVID, and they got a call 632 times, and the California Unemployment Department's telling them F you. Well, they're sending out up to $55 billion of your money to people in prison, to cartels, to dictators overseas. It's absolutely, ugh, don't want to use the word.
Back then, we asked the auditor, Elaine Howell,
If the EDD had complied with your previous audits, do you think we'd be in this situation right now?
There would still be some issues at EDD, but certainly not as severe as they are now.
Yes. Oh, there would be, of course. And she's factually correct. There would be a few issues, and that nothing's perfect. But like the detention on the ICE rates, 0.000000000, whatever it is, error rate, basically maybe 40 people out of 600,000 deported, maybe were held, not incarcerated forever, maybe were withheld 2 hours more than they should have been. And these guys just in California, the reason they're playing this off is because they know if it ever comes out, they are more in deep doo-doo than George Poppy Bush could even imagine, even though he's looking at the roots of the grass.
and years later, audits indicate fraud continues while the legislature continues not to take action.
This is our state capital, and this is not humane.
We also found years of homelessness audits repeating the same core warnings and recommendations, culminating in more than $20 billion spent on homelessness without a statewide plan or accountability.
Motion to pass appropriations.
But again and again, lawmakers kill.
Remember, you got Izzy and the tweets and all that when this was coming out. Oh, well, we know where it is. Everybody's lying. They're just all making it up. Everybody's mean to us. 24 billion in one program. Oh, where is it? Oh, we don't know. Oh. Oh, yes, you know.
The recommended legislation behind closed doors without a public vote. But this is about much more than money. For instance, the auditor found water districts failing to tell people that their drinking water was unsafe, an issue we've been covering for years.
For how long have they done that? How long have they known that TCE has been in the water, but left it off of an annual report that's supposed to be given to the public? TCE, the number one cancer causing of TCE is kidney cancer. That's what my son had. Liver cancer is the second. That's what my neighbor died of. So why did we not know?
The auditor pushed for more disclosure years ago.
It's been horrible. It's so painful.
As wildfires continue to destroy communities, we found lawmakers taking no action on auditor-recommended oversight laws, one of more than 300 outstanding audit recommendations on more than 100 different issues related to law enforcement, courts, healthcare, hate crimes, untested rape kits. They even failed to act on policies that put child abuse victims at risk.
No, you know why they didn't want to turn it into a felony for sex trafficking minors, 16 and 17 years old. They fought like hell at first at 15. Then Shannon Grove and company finally got that through. Then with an assist from one of her Democratic colleagues, they finally got it 16 to 17-year-olds to make it a felony for sex trafficking. That child abuse, we don't care. The Turpin deal that went right here in the Inland Empire and Paris Boulevard, when not only they were abused by their parents, then they got into foster care, and some of the 13 were abused again. It's almost. Anyone would tell you that this is so unbelievable. But we're living it today. Maybe if there's any good that's going to come out of the whole fraud situation that we're getting now, maybe we've got a chance to finally get some traction on this issue.
You know, it's why we do the job.
We caught up with one of the new chairs of the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, which instructs the auditor to conduct these audits. Why are we paying for these audits if the legislature isn't acting on them? I mean, what's your reaction to that?
I think that being new to the legislature the past year and now being the chair of the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, I am keenly focused on oversight.
Member Harabedian is one of more than 30 new California lawmakers this session.
When I hear that there are many audits and recommendations from those audits that haven't been addressed, I think that's a wake-up call.
The warnings are written, the solutions identified. The question is, will the new class of lawmakers finally finish what their predecessors started?
Investigative journalism, what you're doing is important.
1,111%. That's why I'm glad Julie Watts, CBS Sacramento's fine. Maybe that will encourage more. We used to have every television station, newspaper, the Sacramento Bee. They were on top of that legislature like, you know what? Like flies on manure. We'll try to clean it up. And the manure that's all over Sacramento is finally getting exposed.
It's important because it keeps everyone accountable, and it highlights issues that might not be on my radar or anyone else's radar that I serve with. And so keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, we will. For CBS News California Investigates, I'm Julie Watts.
Let's hope Julie Watts stays on this track and others join in. That's the only way. That's our only hope. Or they're gonna bleed us more than a pig or a chicken or cow that's running into the slaughterhouse. They're going to bleed you till you're dead. Had experience with that at Moreno Valley Unified Crime Syndicate. Chris Farias, head of the teachers. Teachers are crying, oh, we need to extend Prop 55 to taxes and all this other stuff. It's 27 grand per student. That's up from 24 2 years ago. That's a 15% plus increase. And you're getting worse results. Shut up. It isn't a money problem. It's like vagrancy is not a money problem. Housing, homelessness is not a money problem. It's a government problem. It's rules and regulations and stupidity in 5 years. And look at the Palisades people. Burnt down over a year ago, and hardly a 2x4 is being put back up in there. After Trump went in there and they said, okay, Army Corps of Engineers said, maybe we'll get this done in 18 months. They got it done in 6 months. They got all the property cleared. That's why Trump's coming in now and just saying, hey, we're taking over. Whether the courts are going to allow him to do it, that's, we'll find out. But what are you going to do? You've done your job in 1/3 the time. There's Newsom and Buffoon Bass and all of them with their thumb up their rear end. Because they want to take over the property and give it to their guys, and you'll build vagrant housing or whatever they got planned for. Criminals is too kind of a word for these people. And we'll get into more of the appointment and the resignation of C.J. Johnson, that maybe tomorrow. But it's seemingly stunning. We ran this yesterday. There's my dad. Over 11 years ago, at 75 freaking years old. 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night at a public meeting for the old Prologis deal. And there's 35 speakers yet to go, and he's out there speaking. Listen to the crime syndicate whining about have to stay after 10 o'clock. This is last night's meeting. Unfreaking real. Brandy Clark, Sammy Luna, Rhodes Williams, Johanna Leva. This is totally freaking unacceptable. Listen to this.
The board believes that late night meetings deter public participation, and it can affect the board's decision making ability, decision making ability, and can be a burden to staff. Regular board meetings shall be adjourned at 10 p.m. unless.
No. That's your lazy ass. If you can't do the job, get off the frickin' dais. Good. If staff can't do their job, then fire them. I don't care if it takes till 2 o'clock in the frickin' morning to get the agenda done. That's what you signed up to do. Oh, we can't do it 10 o'clock. And this wussification of society has got to go. I don't care if you got to work 36 frickin' straight hours, lady. Get your ass in there and do it, or get your ass off the seat. Screw you people. Screw you lazy staff that are making 300. What'd you pass 350,000 plus benefits for the Rubicava or Verdi or RC, which have been absolute failures? Where's been the student achievement improvement under RC, the one that's supposed to be a head academic official? You look like clowns spending more money. Then you got Farias and the teachers up there begging for more so they can fail even harder.
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
You bunch of lazy no accounts. Jesse said we'll be joining my KMT here in a few seconds, and I can actually hear you of that. So hopefully we get the technical issues fixed that plagued us yesterday.
As long as I'm not here. 5 seconds.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air. The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Yeah, Clunky Slide Guitar Music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Red 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the inland part of the aforementioned AM band. Join your fast video and it's the Evil Dead Network and Rumble X YouTube. Type in iNewsWire Roy Blecker. You see my nice smiling, shining face coming across on that. We did that. Our second shocking poll. We released it on iNewsWire. It's been getting a lot of play today. And deservedly so. Again, we've averaged, this is the second Democratic poll coming out. But we average the last 5 polls that have come out in the California governor's race. And Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton have been running 1-2, 1-2. They average it out. They've been doing it. Democrat pollster, whatever. Not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. We got a chance. We got a chance to elect a center-right governor, but we're going to do it in June, and we're going to, if this is the result we got to have. When Shirley Weber certifies the vote right about July 4th, Independence Day, our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. We want Shirley Weber, and she'll have a crackling, crying voice to announce that Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton are the top 2. Advancing to the November 2026 election to the governor's race. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the crocodile tears? The caterwauling And on that we'll go if that is, but we can do it. And we got to have enough smarts. Plus, we got to wait. We got to pick up 7 seats in the assembly. One critical that we do is where we're broadcasting from, 8061, Assembly District 61, that the odious canine hating racist Corey Jackson has. We had Ed Delgado, Moreno Valley councilman, former retired assistant sheriff, running against him. It's one we can pick up. We need to pick up 4 in the Senate just to get down to below the supermajority so they just can't automatically veto anything the governor does. We put that into place, and Sonia Shaw, superintendent of public instruction, and a few others, Michael Gates for attorney general, who will be cooking on gas. Herb Weber, I think, for controller. We went through the great report by Julie Watts of CBS Sacramento, outlining the state auditor's been saying for years, there's fraud going on all over the place. And they've done, the governor, the legislature, like, yeah. Well, the reason they're doing it is because they're complicit, like we've seen with Dana the Hammer Williamson and all that whole thing, Newsom's former chief of staff, Javier Baccaria. Oh, there's money in the account. Oh, we'll just take it. It's the allegation. B.S. Bonner and the dongs and the trash. Boy, we got a lot of work. Alex Pretti, shot dead in a confrontation with ICE Border Patrol in Minneapolis. He's been portrayed as more holy than Jesus Christ, the Son of God. How could they? Oh, and Jacob Fry, the mayor, is crying. And Tampon Timmy, the retard Wallace, is prancing around just in the hither. He's all upset. He's having a breakdown, crying. Oh, how could you shoot such an innocent soul? This is the headline, the California Post. Another thing we got to look forward to, we actually got a decent statewide newspaper now all across the state that's concentrating on California. Alex Pretti appears to spit at ICE, kick out a taillight in previous Minneapolis confrontation before he was shot by Border Patrol. Not Alex Pretti. He would never do such a, my word. He has 152 kitty cats and 97 dogs and couple parakeets and a bald eagle and everything. And he's harboring rescued these poor animals that were just about ready to die, starving. How could anybody? We have video. This just surfaced today. This is from earlier, I think in 2025. Here's the saintly Alex Pretti. Oh, we thought we had him. Here we go.
January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Pretti interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol.
Oh, he's not kicking out. He is not kicking out. No, fake. He can't be kicking. Not Alex Pretti. He would never kick out a taillight and say disparaging words at the ICE agents. No. He was up there. He wanted to tap. He was trying to tap on the back window, offering the ICE agents, Border Patrol, a cup of coffee and a cookie. I swear to you, that's what Alex was doing. That he could never would he be yelling and kicking and spitting at the vehicle and kicking out the tail light and using that sort of disparaging language. He's never used it in his entire life.
Shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy. On the morning on January 13th,
I don't know how. They grabbed him and so I don't know how they restrained themselves.
our footage was analyzed by agents 11 days before border.
After that, kicking the car, spitting on the car. I don't know how they restrained themselves from not just completely beating the living crap out of that dude that day. You know, he should have been in jail over this of assaulting law enforcement officers. There should be a minimum 10-year sentence. Would be in my world. He was just peacefully protesting. That's their definition of a frickin' peaceful protest. The lying sacks of ish from Tampon, Timmy Waltz, to Jack Blank, Jacob Fry, Mayor of Minneapolis, and all the screaming retards on social media or the broadcast media or radio or print. That have been just flat lying by anybody's reasonable definition of the word. This cannot be allowed to stand. Not today, not ever. Because you could be the next one assaulted. I was in this situation last Wednesday. Right here in Riverside, California. On Arlington, well, just right off of Arlington. And all of a sudden, you're surrounded by the mob, who's empowered to do this because we've let crap like this go on for far too long. Tune them out. Get off the 3x5 screen of all the stupidity or the radio or the TV or wherever you're looking at these ding-dongs. Finally, we've asked for the triple I. Investigation, indictments, incarceration. Team Trump raids Georgia over stolen 2020 election. FBI raids Georgia election office. Stop the steal. Number of fraudulent ballots identified as staggering. Team Trump today, with the FBI, led by the FBI, raided the Fulton County in Union City, Georgia, election offices. And it appears to be over the 2020 stolen election. We're going to say this until it's drilled into you stupids out there that don't believe it or try telling us a false narrative or no. Or just like John King was telling the nice young lady they've been following for miles. She says, I don't think it maybe yeah. No, it was stolen. No, I don't think so. That was stolen. No, it wasn't. You don't know what you're talking about. You dumb OB. Well, he didn't say that, but you know what he meant. John King, another one of these dingwads. Here's the Fox News alert. At the scene, here we go.
FBI agents are on site at a Fulton County election office in Georgia, where they are conducting a search. David Spunt's got more details for us on this developing story. David?
Hi, Sandra. This is a satellite office for the Fulton County Elections Office. The FBI Atlanta press office confirming this, not giving any details, saying that the FBI is executing a court-authorized law enforcement action. No other details at this time, but we do know via sources a judge signed off on this warrant, allowing these agents, as you see them, enter this building to take items from the inside. Now, we're told that this is a sealed matter before the court, meaning details are now limited. Now, agents are looking at documents, phones, computers. We are told via multiple sources this is related to the 2020 presidential election. Now, we don't know specifically what agents are taking to the FBI lab, items that may eventually become part of a federal case. You may remember President Trump was charged in Fulton County with trying to overturn the 2020 election results. That's Brad Raffensperger right there. He is the Secretary of State of Georgia. That is the Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis. Now, Raffensperger spoke to President Trump back in early 2021, and Trump said that he wanted to find some 11,000 votes to help win the election. Raffensperger said that he felt pressure from Trump. Willis then took Donald Trump to trial. That didn't happen. In 2023, she said that her prosecution was all buttoned up, ready to go, but it was completely derailed after it was revealed she had an intimate relationship with the top prosecutor on her team, and it could have tainted.
No, not Fani. She wouldn't do anything like that.
The case. Late last year, a judge dismissed the case in its entirety. It's important to point out, Sandra, that a judge typically would not just sign off on a warrant so the FBI could go on what's known as a fishing expedition. It's likely the FBI and DOJ presented some credible evidence to the judge for the judge to go ahead and give the green light. No immediate comment from the Justice Department. Again, the FBI confirming this court-authorized search warrant. We are waiting to see if perhaps Director Kash Patel.
This is what we wanted to see. The perp walk, the investigation, the raids, the arrests. I love, look at that. Well, let's blow it up. See that? I love the supersized fork. Wonder if they were torturing people with that. I'm sure they weren't, but I mean, whatever they were doing, I mean, I'd like to know what that purpose of that was, but that's what we want to see. It's what we voted for. Maybe it took a little bit, we all would have liked to seen this earlier in 2025, but at least they're coming around. So hopefully we're making some progress and we're going to get some resolutions to a lot of this stuff. It's about time. We can't, between the, oh, well, there's fraud going on. Well, we can't do a darn thing about it. These things are, and hopefully one day, we're going to find that all of this stuff is just, it was not a figment of our imagination. But we shall see. Here's Rob Bonnet. Oh my goodness. We elected this clown, Attorney General, top cop in California.
Local and state law enforcement agencies have
Oh,
the authority to investigate and prosecute, if appropriate, crime that occurs in California, even if that crime is committed by a federal official, the President of the United States of America. If he breaks the law, trambles over the Constitution, and hurts Californians, I'm going to sue him. And that's my message yet again today. Follow the damn law.
why don't you follow the damn law, clown? Why aren't you investigating the fraud the auditor said is happening right in your state? You haven't done a darn thing, but it's all Trump's fault. Why aren't you investigating Buffoon Bass and Gavin Newsom over burning down the Palisades in Altadena and Paradise, California up north and everywhere else in between? Why aren't you investigating that, you smiling buffoon? Oh, I'm sure you're smiling because you probably got a lot of those brown paper sacks, maybe from the Dong family and others, like maybe Gavin Newsom's got. Why were you spending $500,000 to get records in that case of the Dong family and Chang Tao, the recalled under indictment mayor of Oakland? To talk about fraud, here's Mehmet Osmo. Newsom should, because he said, it's Armenian and Russian writing on all this fraud that's been going on just in the hospice and healthcare down in LA. Newsom's got a shirt. So racist. Here's Mehmet Oz. Here we go.
Immigrants. So Gavin Newsom was giving us a hard time for threatening the health insurance of illegal immigrants. Just to be very transparent, if you're on Medicare, you don't get free dental, you don't get free vision. You do if you're an illegal immigrant in California.
This is the infuriating
But so anyway, so you got taxpayers in New Mexico, right, which is a blue state but a poor state, paying extra tax dollars to the federal government that are recycled back into LA to deal with the fraud that I'm talking about. So illegal immigrants, he's mad. We're horrible people. We're Republicans. You have no conscience. You have no heart. As soon as we made it clear we were no longer going to pay for illegal immigrants in California, what did he do? He took them off Med-Cal. Now, he didn't take them off. He took them up on the federal side. So in theory, only emergency services are going to get paid for illegal immigrants in California, which is a national law.
And is reasonable.
Reasonable. Now, we want babies delivered, car accident victims.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, get health care, but not elective hernia surgery, cataracts. You have to be an American.
This is where the fraud comes in, and he's right. Somebody gets an emergency or something, and they're visiting the country or some on vacation. We're not going to say, well, we're not going to, if you get a broken leg in a car accident, we're saying, too bad. No, we're going to you come in and very critical this and that, and they're 24-hour surgery and 6 months to recover or whatever. We're not going to throw you out of the country or do that. But they try to parlay into that. Oh, well, you got a hangnail. You got to pay for it. You, the American citizen, stuff it. You're going to pay for their bill, plus you're going to pay for your bill when you have a problem. And what did Newsom do? Oh, he's racist because he said, he accused, because it was Armenian and Russian writing on there, and he's complaining. Well, what other conclusion are you going to basically draw? But they use the racist to try to deflect this stuff because they know they're cooked. This is a headline in the California Post again. Gavin Newsom accuses Oz of racism, claiming Armenian mob behind the California massive hospice fraud. Not that we have fraud. Or where is it coming? Shout racist. You dig into the playbook. This is on X. Los Angeles County withholds funding from Alasha amid audit failures on homeless spending. Lindsay Horvath, who's running against Buffoon Bass, is now she's a county supervisor, and they withhold the funding. And she's saying, Bass is trying to say, no, he didn't. And I got to give it to Lindsay Horvath, one of the few times I've agreed with her. She's at least calling it out. She says, Bass, you're lying. The reason we cut it off because it's full of fraud. The money the county gave the city, County of LA gave to the city, he said, you just blew it. You can't tell us where it went. So we shut you off. You can't make this stuff up. Here's a message from Sonia Shaw, president of Chino Valley School Board, running for superintendent public instruction in the state of California. She needs to be in the top 2 to move on to November, and she needs to be elected to superintendent, California superintendent of public instruction. Here's her latest comments in NEWSOM. And the whole idiocracy about boys in girls' sports and locker rooms and bathrooms. Here we go.
Hey everyone, it's Sonia Shaw, your Chino Valley Unified School Board president and the candidate for California State Superintendent, and more importantly, a mama bear that refuses to back down. I have big news that just dropped today from the U.S. Department of Education, and it is a game changer for California. Look, for years, California's education system under NEWSOM and all the bureaucrats and the special interest group, they have been secretly pushing schools to hide kids' gender transitions from their parents. They even sued districts like mine in Chino Valley for daring to notify families. It's completely outrageous. Kids were being manipulated behind closed doors, and they still are, and families are being torn apart. This nonsense needs to end now. The U.S. Department of Education literally just ruled this is illegal. Parents have the right to know what's happening with their own children.
What a concept. Parents have the right to know. When did this become even a question?
When NEWSOM's admin sued us, we fought back because parents deserve the truth. And now federal law proves we were right this entire time. This ruling exposes the state's overreach and demands immediate action. This is huge. It vindicates everything we've been fighting for, fighting the good fight. We led the charge here in Chino, and now the momentum is building to protect kids, empower parents, and end this secrecy once and for all. Look, as your next state superintendent, you know I will make sure every school in California puts families first, not this ideology. California parents, this is our moment. Join me, donate please at shawforca.com, share this video, and vote Sonia Shaw in 2026. We can do this. We're fighting the good fight relentlessly to protect our children. We've got.
Yes, we've got this. And again, this is another critical race and one we can win. Got to get Sonia in the top 2 in state in June, and then whomever hack the teachers who are complicit in this fraud, who are the ones that have funded the fraud because they put the campaign cash, at least the legal part, along with cops and firefighters, to get ding-dongs like NEWSOM and Tony Thurman and Calfart Lara and Corey Jackson elected. It's about time Californians get their proverbial head out of their rear ends and start paying a slight amount of attention. That's all it takes, is a little bit. Unless you want to be ground clear into the dirt. Hopefully. And at least we're seeing signs of little cracks in the dike that we're starting to bust through. Now it's time to start getting the jackhammers out. And as Reagan said to Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. We need to tear down the walls of tyranny and suppression that have been building up higher and higher on us. And we need them, we need to grind them down and pave roads that we can drive on with gas at $1.25 a gallon where it should be. Where it can be if we get the job done. That'll do it for today. We usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 23 hours. Why? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. And we do have one issue.
What?
I cannot hear the intro and outro music.
Again?
Yeah. 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Okay, so is there time tomorrow to get to it?
Yes, after 10 a.m.
After 10, okay, so we'll see what, try to remember what it was. Do you remember what it was to get that going? I don't know.
I don't remember. We'll figure it out.
You got it. Okay,
All right,
we'll
bye.
see you tomorrow.